Welcome back to Fitness Manifesto. I am one of your hosts, Kim, and joining me is
Justin. Welcome to this new show that we've started, which focuses on life, awesomeness, friendship, and fitness as a whole.
There was one time that we were playing soccer, and I regret this still to this day. I was the captain, and we didn't take first. We played, we rocked it. We were so good. I will tell you, the refs were calling some really hinky calls, but in the end, we lost. Regardless, I had to get myself in check after it because we were going to the banquet, and you should have seen all of our faces. I should have turned it around and been like, which I did later on once my coach checked me. And then I was like, why? We should be proud of them for winning. It's a game. There is no reason to act that way. Even though you're upset and furious, unfortunately, we lost. And that is what it is.
But I think learning that lesson is really important, especially early, because then you have the rest of your life to maintain it. And I'll tell you that, first of all, I admire you for realizing that was the wrong thing to do and changing it. But also, I think especially when you are young and you're an athlete and you are either used to winning or you are used to being on a really good team, your expectations of yourself are so high already that when you don't win, it's more, you're disappointing yourself, right? At the end of the day, That's what you probably came to realize. And I think that for me as an adult, one of the things that I've done to really temper that is I still love to win. I'm still very competitive. But at the same time, I realize I don't look at it the same way. I look at it from the standpoint of when I meet someone who's on par or I view as like a worthy, I call them a worthy adversary. That to me is like more challenging now because most people I don't view as that. And sometimes now I appreciate that. Whether I win or lose, I know that I've met a good competitor. And I've realized now in life, playing fairly, playing honestly, and playing to your best ability, no matter what, is more important than winning every time.
It really is. The person who, apart from my parents, who influenced my fitness journey, probably the biggest, he was my PE teacher when I lived in Qatar. And he is phenomenal. He was a personal trainer. I believe he dealt with people with football teams, and he was my biggest motivator. He is the one who got me into lifting, not just little weights. At one point, I was deadlifting over 225. He was
a lot for your frame.
When we would go into the weight room and girls would sit down to bench press and they couldn't even lift the bar, the 45 pounds. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? I was definitely blessed with strength, of course. That was a gift that God gave me. But he would always push me and he would always motivate me and he would correct my form. And he always showed up for me regardless. And actually, whenever I was getting ready to graduate from high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was undecided on everything. He had talked to me about talking to his friend about becoming a personal trainer. And this person is in California. And oh my gosh, I was on board with that. And my parents were like, you're not going to go to California by yourself. We live overseas. We don't know anything. So I didn't get to do that. That wasn't my journey, but I never told him thank you. Thank you for showing up for me and setting it up to where I was going to be able to talk to his friend who owned his own gym to become a personal trainer. Still to this day, he was a big influence on my brother to start lifting weights. He was, apart from our parents, probably my biggest supporter. He was phenomenal. I can't even put together words to say thank you enough, but it's because of him why I love to be in the weight room, why I loved and thrived. And still to this day, I love picking up weights. I've always loved it because of him. I didn't get into spinning until my husband bought a Peloton, which he doesn't even use anymore. I do, but it was the weight training that pulled me in. And it's because of him why I do it.
That's beautiful. That's really, really powerful. I think it's really awesome. I'm going to flip the gears for a second here and give you someone that motivated me, but in a negative way, to kind of balance what you're saying there. So when I was in college, I started out and I was just, I think, a solid block of testosterone. And it was just basically like, girls, I don't care about school. So to keep my head together, I needed to do a sport of some kind. So I did crew.
Explain what crew is.
Crew is when you do the rowing. So it's when you see those large boats that have 8 people in them. And they're usually on lakes. We did it in Mission Bay in San Diego. I'd never done it before. I never rowed, never done anything. I never even, I went on boats all the time when I was a kid, but I didn't row them. So I tried out for this, and the coach of it was a real SOB of a human being. Like, he's an ex-Navy SEAL. Almost everyone there is some sort of Navy regard to San Diego. So they all have this military or die attitude, which I've always appreciated because the military is just incredible. But he was really, really did not want me on the team because I was the smallest guy there. I was only 5'9". Most guys that do it are very long and very tall because you need those long poles. He's like, all right, if you lose 20 pounds, you can be a coxswain, which is the guy that directs the boat, or you can try out for the team. And I said, well, hell yeah, I'm going to try out for the team. And he threw everything at me to not make it, but I made it. So that was like accomplishment number one. Throughout the season, we had a bunch of races, and I raced every time. That was a huge thing. But at the end of the year, he threw this thing out called the 10,000 Castle, which is basically you have to row 10,000 meters as fast as you can. And I did it in 41 minutes. And for those that don't know, I mean, that is a very good pace.
When you say you had to row that like by yourself?
On those machines, on the, I can't remember what they're called, but those rowing machines. So basically they set it up so that it has the same resistance as water. So they adjust the fan so it's a certain way. And then basically you had to be under 2:30 the entire time. So for every 500 meters, you had to be under 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That was the goal. And I was the only one out of my heat, out of 8 guys that lined up to do it. I was the only one that finished. And I was so afterwards, my thumbs, the skin came off on both my thumbs because you're rubbing against your shirt the whole time. I fell over and passed out for 10 minutes, and I'm just steaming and stuff like that. Because you can't even imagine how many calories you're burning doing that. And that was the last time I ever rode. I never rode again. But I was the only one to finish out of there, and I won Sportsman of the Year from him. And so I tell you this not to talk about accolades, but to tell you that at no point did he make it easier for me. Did he ever say, hey, you're doing a good job? He made it harder for me every single time. He put up more barriers, more everything for me to fail. And I think because of him, I've succeeded in a lot of situations because of the hardship and stuff that I went through. And I don't know if he was purposely targeting me. I don't know. My perception back then was, of course, but as an adult, probably not. He may have been trying to get the best out of me the whole time. I don't know. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I really appreciate that challenge because that was the first time in my life that at age, I think I was 18 or 19, to just be given no break. No one's rooting for you in that stand. He would purposely, you're going to finish this, whether you puke, whether you do whatever. And it was just, I think because of his perseverance, it's really given me a never give up attitude. And I think that's really awesome.
I wonder if he saw more in you and that's why he pushed you hard. He knew that if he got you frustrated, that you would come out the other side on top, that he saw something in you that he didn't see in anybody else.
That's the way I choose to look at it now. At the time, did I?
Okay.
Hell no. I would call my mom all the time, be like, I hate this guy. Talk to my friends afterwards and I gripe and all that. But looking back, absolutely. And to mirror a point you made a second ago, I never said thank you. And I can't remember his name, but thank you.
I was just about to say, do you thank him now for that discipline and for pushing you and making you think that this guy's the biggest jerk I've ever met? But look at what you got out of it.
Well, and the answer is yes. But part of what makes this special for me is that in that package that mom sent me was the crew shirt that I got, to row in. And it says, University of San Diego crew, all that stuff. It has all the official stuff. And it was swarmed me with emotion on Monday because it was one of those, oh my God, I forgot about all this stuff. And it actually made me feel kind of invincible for a period of time because of all of that. And so it was awesome.
And just think about the timing with that, because now we're talking about it. That's what this week's episode is about. That's pretty incredible.
It's unbelievable. And the funny part was Kelly, I got it. She's like, what are you going to do with this? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, you should give it to Seth. And part of me was like, all right, it survived almost 30 years. I don't want to give it away. But then I'm like, what? It survived 30 years. So I ended up giving it to him and he was really excited. He was really, really excited about it.
Did you tell him the story behind it?
No, I haven't even told him.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should, because then maybe having that piece will have that impact on him. I
mean, I agree with everything you're saying. For me, with my family, I don't really talk about stuff like that. I can talk to you about this all day. I can talk to anyone else about it all day till the cows come home. I find it weird to even tell Kelly about things like this. I don't know why. Do you feel that way at all? No? All right, it's me.
No,
I don't know why.
I don't. Justin, with your inner circle, you're pretty private. I knew that whenever we first started teaching together, I could tell your inner circle you're pretty hush hush about stuff. I mean, really, you are. But I guess when you get comfortable, or if we get on topic, or like you say, I know how to ask questions, it can pull stuff out of you, which I don't know, maybe it's weird. So, I mean, maybe they haven't asked the right questions that would make you think of stuff like that. Or maybe you haven't been in a situation that you're like, oh, I should tell them about this. It's not at the forefront of your mind. You know, there's so much other stuff going on, especially with kids. One day it may come up, especially with your kids, you know, growing up. And, you know, once they start getting into sports, they could run into something very, very similar to that with a coach being a jerk. But then you can open up about, let me tell you this one time. Let me tell you about my coach that I hated at the time, but I thank him for how hard he pushed me because of that is who I am. It'll come.
I think that's part of it. And so first of all, great advice. So thank you. But I think it's also the fact that it doesn't come up organically for me. These conversations are organic and it comes up. Like, very rarely do I sit down with Seth and go, you know, Seth, when I was your, you know, it doesn't flow in those moments. And maybe I need to look past that and make it flow.
Well, no, don't force it.
I agree with that. What I'm referring to is more the fact that just start talking openly about it. If you have a situation like that, don't force it in terms of make it fit the mold, but
right.
If there's an organic situation, then just openly, because like you said, for whatever reason, I do not like to talk about myself or disclose anything.
You don't. I know that.
When I first got in the entertainment industry, no one in my family knew anything about anything. I had over 300 interviews and I finally got in and it was weird. I didn't tell them anything until one day they were like, hey, you know, what's going on? I'm like, well, I've got extra tickets. You guys want to go to the Tonight Show? They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you know, it was funny because that's how they knew I was in the entertainment industry because I could get them anything. Like they were like, hey, I want to go to the show. I'm like, sure, you can go to that. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, for those that don't know, we're literally in the throes of a great conversation. All of a sudden we both died.
I know, you froze and I went to go take a picture of you and then it went blank and I was like, it was the best picture ever and I missed it.
Oh, okay. So can you recreate the face? What did I do?
Oh, you were swatting at the hornet and you were like, had like terror in your eyes. He
Serious?
must have been flying at you and you were like, yeah, your hand was in the air and everything. And when I picked up my phone to snap a picture of the screen, you were gone. I was like, oh,
I'm sorry,
swing and a miss.
I got to tell you, though, it was almost 40 minutes. I lost everything. Cell for a period.
I did too.
I don't know what's going on, but we live in the fourth largest city in the United States and our internet blows.
So does our cell phone service. You think they'd figure it out by now, right? I mean, come on.
Well, especially because I learned this the other day that Katy is bigger than Pittsburgh.
Yes, and it's still growing.
It's weird. All right, so let's get back on subject here.
What were we talking about whenever you froze?
I honestly don't remember. So I think it was about giving, you know, those.
Oh, it was about your
moments.
Children. You were giving your children, yes.
I'll tell you, between yesterday's great conversation with Matt and today's weird internet stuff, I'm just going to take advantage of crap. That's all I'm going to do from here on out. The next 2 weeks.
You should.
I think that's a sign.
We should hold it. I'll hold you to it.
No, I think you should. To update you very quickly, both wasps,
you killed them?
On. They have moved on.
Oh, they moved on. What's your pool sitting at right now? What temperature?
Let's look. So last time I looked, it was in the 70s, but I don't know. Let's see. It's 75 exactly.
That's what ours is too, 75. And I'll tell you, I walked out, it was yesterday, I think. And I had a snake in my pool.
So, okay, you briefly told us about this yesterday, but just tell me real quick, what did you remember the type of snake? Because it was a very beautiful snake.
He was, actually.
It wasn't a water moccasin. I could tell by the head shape.
And he wasn't poisonous at all.
Okay, good.
I had to put it on Nextdoor to find out exactly what it was because I don't know anything about snakes other than the fact that I don't want to swim with them.
Fair enough.
So
I agree with that.
I'll tell you what the verdict was.
Drum roll.
Somebody said that it was a rough earth snake, harmless and eats bugs, as I spat all over myself. Somebody else later on said that if you look at his pattern, it's a Decay's brown snake, harmless. Both of them were harmless. He was just living his best life in my pool. Some guy goes, it's the new pool noodle.
Knowing my kids, they would totally go for it and be like, hey, you got a new toy. That's not a toy.
Yeah. My daughter wouldn't go anywhere near that pool. Oh, yeah, no.
No. If they found anything living, like one time, we had a giant spider, but I don't like a big one, like this one in there. It was in the drain. It wasn't even in the pool. Kids wouldn't swim for a week.
Have you ever seen them when they're in there and they're walking on the bottom of the pool?
What? No.
Yes, and they're alive because Ted's explained this to me. Whenever they go underwater, there's like a water bubble that goes over top of them. Yes, because of that's all I got. But he was alive walking on the bottom of the pool, and we're like, what? So when we get in the hot tub, we always check for. I was like, did you check for friends underneath the ledge? And I was like, no, y'all do that. Her and Ted do, her and her dad. And I'm like, I don't.
I like to think that I've taken such good care of my pool that I just need to enjoy it. But there have been many moments, especially in the throes of summer, where I look at it and I'm like, I should just do one check because there's so many critters here. Living in a swamp, every summer I find something new. Like I think I took a picture of it. I may have posted it. This year, we have the most beautiful ducks I've ever seen in my life. They're like these black and white ducks. Never before have I seen them. They're really tiny and they're black and white.
Well, when you went on your walk the other day, what did you see?
The owl.
He's big and he's got teeth. The alligator.
Oh my God, the alligator. Yeah, the first alligator of the year. Yes.
Yeah.
Look who is out today in this gorgeous, beautiful day. Our first alligator of the season. Pretty cool, huh?
Oh my God.
See him now, Jackson?
What?
See him?
I'll post. I'll send Blake the pictures of your snake and the alligator and all that. We can put all that together.
Yes, let's do it. But let's get back on topic.
Let's do it. So as we wrap up today, I think that for me, one of the neat things is not just the people that supported me, but some of the people that I thought may have been against me, whether they were or not. That's not for me to judge at this stage of the game. But I'm going to choose to think that it really had a big impact on me, and sometimes even more so than the others. And I just want to say to anyone out there who's a coach, a mentor, a father, a mom, a parent, a grandfather, whatever you are, thank you.
I second that. Anybody who supported me, who showed up for me, who pushed me to be my best and kept me in the game. They kept my head afloat. They kept me positive, pushed me to be my absolute best. But with all my soccer coaches and with everybody, I'm gonna tell you straight up, Coach was by far the best of the best. He wasn't only an incredible coach, he was an incredible person. And he is who I get to thank the most for the journey that I went on as far as being in the gym and showing up for myself. And it's because of him, really, why both me and my brother still lift, why everybody else was there. And of course, they were very, very important. They played an important role in it. He was, I don't know, I can't even put it into words, just the gratitude and just how thankful I am for him that he was in my life, and that he believed in me. He saw something in me and he pushed me to be the best that I am. I remember I was on Facebook one time, and I'm never on Facebook. I had noticed somebody had tagged me. I hate social media. I know you know this, Justin. I get better at it and then I pull back again. I know. Tisk tisk on me. But somebody had tagged me in a post about stuff in PE in Doha, like doing bear crawls and push-ups and something. And they said, I'm pretty sure the only person who could do it was me. And I thrived off of it. I loved it. I loved it all.
Well, that's awesome. And I'm proud of you. And I think that a big takeaway for me in this whole thing too is, especially when you're going through something difficult, whether it's personal or you're just frustrated or you're hormonal or whatever it is, right? One of the things I've always found, not always, I'll say recently, that like will change that mood for me is realizing I can have a positive impact on somebody. That to me is so powerful. And again, it goes back to all those other coaches and mentors and people that have had those impacts on me, that's how I realize that stuff. So realize that your actions, whether you view them as this or not, have implications to other people. So the more you are impacting them in a positive way, it's amazing. It's just amazing. Like my mom, I remember years ago, was like, hey, do you know so-and-so? And for those that don't know, I'm horrible with names. I'm horrible.
I am too.
I'll recognize a face anywhere, but I forget names all the time because there's so many names run together. And this mom had remembered me from my swim days and said hi to my mom. And I had to actually look her up on Facebook and everything and find out we were all friends anyways. So little things like that, helping they had a younger child that I guess I gave some swim lessons to and was really helpful to. And, it was always really nice to. I don't know, 30 years later, this woman remembered me. So whatever you think, even as tiny as that effort is, you have an impact on somebody. And so you have the choice to either leave a mark that says, you know what, thank you, or a situation you may regret. So we're human beings, we're going to mess up, but try to do the former.
Somebody's always watching, especially if you do it at home. Your kids are watching. Somebody is always watching what you're doing, and they'll recognize you for that. I mean, like, we bike to school, and at one point somebody was like, yeah, this person that bikes to school, with their daughter. I'm like, that's me. And they're like, what? Yeah. And it's, even when it's 30 degrees outside, we're biking to school. It's the little things.
Absolutely. Well, Kim, I want to say thank you. Another great episode. I thought it was really fun. And to all those people out there that we may have missed you, we want to just still say thank you, and awesome.
Yes, it was a really, really good episode. And to the people who played the impacts on our life, thank you guys. Thank you guys for blessing us to where we can hopefully be more like you and be positive. Play it forward, right? Justin, you're incredible. I appreciate you.
Kim, you're amazing. I definitely appreciate you, and thank you.
Manifesto. I know you guys enjoyed it.
And Kim, I want to say thank you to you and to our audience for making this podcast what it is.
Yes, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
And stay tuned for the next episode.